Hello and welcome to Learn and Talk English. It's really great to have you all here. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I think is really important for anyone learning English, and that is getting ready for a job interview.
Yeah, that's right. Getting ready for a job interview can be, a little bit scary, even in your native language.
Mhm.
But don't worry, we're here to help you feel more prepared, more confident, step by step.
Yeah, that's right. Today, we're going to talk about some really simple but powerful things that you can do to make a great impression at your next job interview, and all while practicing your English, which is, a great bonus.
Exactly. It's like a 2-for-1.
Okay, so let's imagine you found a job posting that sounds absolutely perfect for you. You're excited, you're ready to apply. What's the very first thing you should do?
Well, before you even start working on your resume, you need to do some research.
Research.
Yeah, like put your detective hat on.
Interesting. Tell me more about what you mean by that.
Sure, it means finding out as much as you can about the company. What do they actually do? What are their products, their services? What's their company culture like?
Company culture. Ooh, that's a new phrase for me.
Yeah.
What does company culture mean?
Oh, good question. Company culture is all about the values and the personality of the company. It's like their style, right? Are they really serious? Are they formal? Or are they, more relaxed, more creative?
Okay, I think I understand. So how do we find out about a company's culture? Do we ask them directly?
You could, but there's a much easier way, and that is the couple's website. The website is your best friend when it comes to research.
The website, of course. What should we look for on the website?
Well, a lot of times there's a page called About Us. That's a great place to start. Look for information about their mission, their values, what makes them unique.
Mission and values. Could you give us some examples of what those words mean?
Sure. A company's mission is their main purpose. It's their reason for existing. For example, a company that makes shoes, their mission might be, to create comfortable and stylish shoes for everyone.
Okay, I get mission. Now, what about values?
Values are the beliefs that are important to the company. For example, a company might value teamwork, uh, creativity, customer satisfaction, things like that.
So we're looking for clues on the website to understand what the company is all about.
Exactly. You can also look for recent news or press releases to see what the company has been up to.
So why is research so helpful before a job interview?
Well, it shows the company you're serious, you're interested. Imagine going to meet a new friend, right?
Right.
Wouldn't you want to know a little bit about them first?
Yeah.
It's the same with a job interview.
Oh, I see. It's like showing respect and making a good first impression.
Exactly. And here's another tip. Once you've learned about the company, you can use that information to prepare some really great answers for the interview.
Oh, that's a great idea. So instead of just talking about ourselves, we can connect our skills and experience to what the company's looking for.
Exactly. It shows that you've done your homework and that you're a good fit for their team.
This is so helpful. I'm already starting to feel a little bit more confident just thinking about it. But before we go any further, can we pause for a second and maybe just review some of the key vocabulary we've used so far?
Absolutely. Repetition is really helpful, especially when you're learning a new language.
Right. Okay. So we talked about company culture, which means,
The personality and style of the company,
and we talked about mission, which is,
the company's main purpose, their reason for being,
and lastly, we talked about values, which are.
the beliefs that are important to the company.
Okay, awesome. Now let's move on to the next step in preparing for a job interview. How to talk about ourselves and our experience in a way that really shines.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay, so we've done our research. We understand the company's culture, their mission, their values. What's next?
Okay, so now it's time to think about ourselves. Think about our skills, our experience, what makes us unique, and just as importantly, how do we talk about all of that in English?
That's right. Remember, in a job interview, you're kind of like a salesperson. You're selling your skills and experience to the company.
Right, you're marketing yourself.
Oh, selling ourselves. Okay, that's an interesting way to think about it.
hmm
But how do we do that without sounding, too arrogant or boastful?
That's a great question. The key is to be specific and give examples. So instead of just saying, I'm a good communicator or I'm a hard worker, tell a story that shows those skills in action.
Tell a story. Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you worked as a cashier, in a busy store. Instead of just saying, I handled cash, you could say something like, I was responsible for handling hundreds of transactions every day, and I always made sure to be friendly and helpful to every customer.
So we're painting a picture with our words.
Yeah.
We're making our experience come alive for the interviewer.
Exactly. Yeah. And here's another tip. Use number whenever you can. It makes your achievements even more impressive.
Numbers, you mean like saying I increased sales by 10% instead of just saying like I helped improve sales.
Exactly. Numbers are really powerful. They give specific evidence of your
Oh, I
success.
like that tip. It's like turning our words into superpowers, but sometimes it's hard to remember like all the details of our work experience, especially in a different language.
Yeah, you're right. That's why it's so helpful to have some kind of system for organizing your thoughts. And there's a really useful tool called the STAR method that can help you do just that.
The STAR method. Oh, that sounds intriguing. Tell me more about it.
It stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's basically a way to structure your answers so they're clear, they're concise, and memorable.
Hmm. S for situation, T for task, A for action, and R for result.
Okay.
I think I'm getting it. Can you explain each part like in more detail?
Sure. The situation is basically the background, the context of the story. It's like setting the scene, right? The task is what you're responsible for doing in that situation. The action is the steps you took to complete the task. And then the result is, the outcome, the impact of your actions.
Hmm. That's a lot to remember. Can we try an example?
Absolutely. Let's say the interviewer asks you, tell me about a time you faced a challenge at work. How could you use the STAR method to answer that question?
Hmm. Okay. What do you think? So first, I need to describe the situation, right? Like, I could say something like, "At my previous job at a restaurant, we were extremely busy one evening."
Okay, perfect. You've set the scene. Now, what was your task in that situation?
Hmm. My task was to make sure that all the customers received their food quickly and efficiently, even though, we were really short-staffed that night.
Perfect. You've identified the task. Now, what action did you take to complete that task?
Okay, the action part. Hmm. I could say, I stayed calm. I stayed focused. I communicated clearly with the kitchen staff, and I made sure to check on each table regularly to make sure everyone was happy.
Okay, great. You're painting a really vivid picture of what you did. Now, for the final part,
Right.
what was the result? What happened because of your actions?
The result, well, even though it was a challenging evening, all of the customers were happy with their service, and many of them even left really positive reviews online.
Wow, that's impressive. You see how the STAR method helps you to tell a really complete, compelling story?
Absolutely. It's like a magic formula for making our experiences, sound really interesting and professional. And
Uh,
the best part is we can use it to talk about any situation, not just work experience, right?
that's right. You can use the STAR method to talk about your volunteer work, your hobbies, even your experience learning English.
Oh, I'm starting to see how this could be really, really helpful for my next job interview. But before we move on, can we practice the STAR method like a little bit more? I
Yeah.
think it'd be helpful for our listeners too.
Of course. I think that's a great idea. Do you have another example in mind? Yeah, sure. Let's imagine the interviewer asks you, tell me about a time you learned something new. What situation could you talk about?
Ooh, learning something new. I could talk about like the time I learned how to ride a bike.
Okay, perfect. That's a great example. So, how would you describe the situation?
Well, I could say something like when I was a child, um, all my friends were riding bikes, and I really wanted to join them.
Perfect. You've set the scene. Now, what was your task in that situation?
My task was to learn how to ride a bike so I could keep up with my friends, and have fun with them.
Okay, great. So, what actions did you take to complete that task?
Hmm. I started by practicing with training wheels. My dad helped me a lot.
Hmm.
And then one day he took the training wheels off. I was so scared.
Uh,
But I kept practicing and practicing, and eventually I was able to ride all by myself.
that's great action. And what was the result of all your hard work?
The result was I learned how to ride a bike. I felt so proud of myself. And I was finally able to ride with all my friends, and we had so much fun together.
Excellent. You see how even a really simple story, like learning to ride a bike, can be turned into a great answer in a job interview.
That's amazing. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
By using the STAR method, we can show our skills and our personality, even when we're just talking about like everyday experiences.
Exactly. Now, before we move on, let's talk about another really important aspect of the job interview, practice.
Practice. Okay, that makes sense. But how can we practice for a job interview in English?
One of the best ways to practice is to have a mock interview with a friend or a language
A
partner.
mock interview. What's a mock interview?
A mock interview is basically a pretend job interview. You can ask your friend to act as the interviewer, and you can practice answering common interview questions.
Ah, so it's like a rehearsal for the real interview.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I'm going to ask my friend if she can help me practice. What else can we do to practice?
You can also record yourself answering interview questions.
Record myself on video. Oh, that's a little scary.
I know it can feel a little awkward at first, but it's a really helpful way to, see how you look, how you sound when you're speaking English.
Okay. Okay, I'll try it. What should I be looking for when I watch the recording?
Pay attention to your body language.
Body language. What does that mean?
Body language is how you communicate with your body, not just your words. It's things like your posture, your eye contact, your hand gestures.
Oh, I see. So even if our English is like perfect, our body language could be sending like the wrong message.
Exactly. For example, if you avoid eye contact, it could make you seem nervous, unsure of yourself. Or, if you slouch in your chair, it can make you seem uninterested or unprofessional.
Hmm. Okay, I see what you mean. So what's the best way to improve our body language for a job interview?
Here are a few simple tips. First, make eye contact with the interviewer. It shows that you're confident, that you're engaged.
Okay, eye contact, check. What else?
Sit up straight and relax your shoulders. Good posture shows that you're attentive and respectful.
Okay, straight but relaxed. Got it. Any other tips?
Try to avoid fidgeting. It can be distracting and make you seem
By
nervous.
fidgeting. What does fidgeting mean?
Fidgeting means like moving around nervously, like tapping your foot or playing with your hair or.
Ah, okay, okay. I sometimes do that when I'm nervous. I'll try to be more aware of my body language.
And finally, remember to smile. A genuine smile can make a big difference. It shows you're friendly, you're approachable.
So we need to be mindful of our body language. Eye contact, posture, no fidgeting, and lots of smiles.
Exactly. Now let's move on to another important aspect of preparing for a job interview: what to wear.
Oh, yes. What should we wear to make a good first impression? Should we wear a suit?
It depends on the company culture. Some companies are really formal, while others are more casual.
So how do we know what to wear?
The best way to find out is to do a little research. Look at the company website or social media pages, see what are the employees wearing.
That's a smart idea.
hmm
We're becoming detectives again. But what if we're still not sure?
If you're not sure, it's always better to err on the side of being too formal. It's better to be overdressed than underdressed.
Okay, I'll remember that. So, if in doubt, wear a suit.
Now let's talk about another part of the interview that can be, a little tricky. Talking about our education.
That's a great point. Even if we're still learning English, we can still impress the interviewer with our educational background. Absolutely. So how do we talk about our education in a way that sounds, impressive and confident?
Instead of just listing your degrees, your certificates, tell a story about your learning journey.
Tell a story. How do we do that?
Think about what you learned, what skills you developed, why you chose that particular field of study. And remember, you can use the STAR method to structure your answer.
Ah, the STAR method, of course. So for example, instead of just saying, I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, I could say,
You could say something like, during my studies, I was particularly interested in marketing. I took several courses in digital marketing and social media, and I even started my own blog to practice my skills.
oh, that sounds much more interesting than just listing a degree. It shows passion and initiative.
Exactly. And even if you're still learning English, you can talk about your progress and your goals.
So I could say something like, I'm currently studying English because I want to work in an international company.
Perfect. That shows ambition and a willingness to learn, which are really valuable qualities in any employee.
Okay, so we're not just listing qualifications. We're telling a story about our educational journey and how it connects to, our career goals.
Now, let's talk about another important part of the job interview: discussing our work experience.
Ooh, work experience. This is our chance to, really shine, show them what we can do.
That's right. And remember, just like with education, we can use the STAR method to structure our answers and make them even more compelling.
So instead of just listing our previous jobs, we should focus on specific situations, tasks, actions, and results.
Exactly. Think about your biggest accomplishments, the challenges you overcame, the skills you developed in each role.
Okay, I'm ready to brag a little. But how do we make sure that our achievements sound impressive in English?
Remember that tip about using number? That's especially important when you're talking about work experience.
Right. Numbers are like the magic words that make everything sound more impressive.
Exactly. So instead of saying, I improved customer satisfaction, you could say, I increased customer satisfaction ratings by 15%.
Wow, that does sound so much more impressive. Any other tips for talking about our work experience?
It's important to maintain a positive tone, even when you're discussing previous jobs that maybe weren't the best fit.
Ah, that's a good point. What if, like, we had a job that we didn't like very much? Should we be honest about that?
You can be honest, but focus on what you learned from the experience. So instead of saying, I hated my last job, you could say,
I could say my last job taught me the importance of clear communication and teamwork.
perfect. You're turning a potentially negative experience into a positive learning opportunity.
Perfect. You're turning a potentially negative experience into a positive learning opportunity.
So even a bad job can teach us valuable lessons. I like that.
All right, then let's start with a classic. Tell me about yourself. How would you answer that question?
Tell me about yourself.
Hmm.
Hmm, that seems simple enough. Should I just, you know, tell them my name, where I'm from, and what I like to do in my free time? It's a little more than that. It's your chance to make a really strong first impression and highlight the skills and experience that are, most relevant to the job.
So it's not about telling my whole life story.
Not exactly. It's about giving a concise and focused overview of your professional journey.
Okay, I see, I see. So how do we structure like a really good answer to tell me about yourself?
You can start with your current role or your most recent experience, briefly describe what you do, what skills you use, then talk about your previous experience and how it has prepared you for this role. And finally, end with a sentence or two about your career goals and why you're interested in this specific opportunity.
Wow. That's a lot of information to fit into one answer. Can we try like an example?
Sure. Let's say you're applying for a job as a customer service representative. You could say something like, I'm a highly motivated and experienced customer service professional with a passion for helping people. In my previous role at a call center, I was responsible for resolving customer issues, providing product information, and ensuring a positive customer experience. I'm eager to continue developing my skills in a fast-paced and challenging environment.
That sounds great. It's like clear, concise, and it highlights, the most relevant skills.
Exactly. Now, remember to tailor your answer to the specific job that you're applying for.
Okay. So we need to do our research and really understand like the company's needs before we even start thinking about our answers.
Now, let's move on to another really common interview question. Why are you interested in this position?
Oh, that's a good one. I guess I should be prepared to explain like why I want this specific job, right?
Exactly. This is your chance to show the interviewer that you've done your research, that you're genuinely excited about this opportunity.
Okay, so saying something like, it seems like a good job probably won't cut it.
Probably not. Think about what specifically interests you about this company, about this role.
For example.
You could say, I'm really impressed with your company's commitment to sustainability. I've been following your work for a while now, and I'm eager to contribute my skills to a company that shares my values.
That sounds so much better than, well, the salary looks good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show them you're passionate about their work, that you've taken the time to learn about them.
Okay. Why are you interested in this position? Nailed it. Now bring on the tough questions.
All right, are you ready for this one? What are your greatest strengths and weaknesses?
Ooh, the dreaded strengths and weaknesses question. This one always makes me, like, so nervous I never know what to say.
It's a tough one, but it's also a chance to show the interviewer that you're self-aware and that you can learn and grow.
Self-aware. You mean like I know what I'm good at and what I need to, work on?
Exactly. When talking about your strengths, choose one that is relevant to the job and give a specific example of how you have used that strength to achieve something.
Okay, so I could say,
You could say, one of my greatest strengths is my attention to detail. In my previous role as a data entry clerk, I was responsible for inputting large amounts of information, and I always double-checked my work to ensure accuracy. I have a keen eye for detail, and I am committed to producing high-quality work.
perfect. You've identified a relevant strength and given a specific example. Now, what about the weaknesses part?
Don't pretend you're perfect, right? Everyone has weaknesses. The key is to be honest but strategic. Choose a weakness that you are actively working to improve.
So I could say,
You could say, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which sometimes means I take a little longer to complete tasks. However, I'm learning to prioritize and focus on the most important aspects of a project.
so I'm acknowledging my weakness, but I'm also showing that I'm like proactive in taking steps to improve.
Exactly. It shows that you're self-aware and committed to growth, which
Yeah.
are really valuable qualities in any employee.
Okay. Strengths and weaknesses handled. What other tricky questions should I be prepared for?
Let's talk about discussing salary expectations. This can be, kind of a sensitive topic, but it's important to be prepared.
Oh, yeah. Salary. I always get nervous talking about money. What's the best way to, approach this question?
First, do your research. Find out what other people in similar roles are earning in your area.
Okay. So I should be a salary detective too. Are there websites that can, help me with this?
Absolutely. Websites like Glassdoor or Indeed can be really helpful for researching salaries.
Hmm.
Once you have an idea of the salary range for the position, think about what you're hoping to earn, considering your skills and your experience.
Okay. So I'm doing my homework on salaries. But what if they offer me a salary that's lower than I expected?
It's okay to negotiate.
Negotiate. I don't know if I'm very good at that. What if I offend them?
You can negotiate politely and professionally. You could say something like,
Like what?
you could say, thank you for the offer. I'm very interested in this position, but based on my research and experience, I was hoping for a salary closer to. And then you state your desired salary range.
Oh, I like that. It's firm, but it's also respectful.
Exactly. Remember, it's okay to advocate for yourself.
Okay, so I'm adding negotiate politely to my list of skills. What else should I know about discussing salary?
It's not just about the salary itself. You can also negotiate for other benefits like, vacation time, professional development opportunities, or even a flexible work schedule.
Ah, good point. So it's about the whole package, not just the number on the paycheck.
Exactly. Now, before we move on to the next topic, are there any questions so far? Maybe there's a word or a phrase you'd like me to explain again.
That's a great idea. We want to make sure everyone understands, everything we've talked about so far.
Right. Learning a language is all about practice and repetition. So if there's anything you'd like us to repeat or explain in more detail, just let us know in the comments.
And feel free to share your own experiences with job interviews, too. What are some challenges you've faced? What are some tips that have helped you? We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of really important things for getting ready for a job interview in English. We've talked about researching the company, practicing our answers, and even thinking about our body language.
Yeah, that's right. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's one more thing I want to talk about today, and that's how to handle those unexpected questions that sometimes come up in job interviews.
Unexpected questions, what do you mean?
You know, those questions that kind of catch you off guard, the ones you haven't prepared for.
Oh, right. Like, if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? Or what's your biggest fear? Those kinds of questions.
Exactly. Those are classic examples of unexpected interview questions. I've heard those questions before. They always make me nervous. Why do interviewers ask those kinds of questions?
Well, it's not about, trying to trick you. They want to see how you think on your feet, how you handle pressure, how you approach a challenge.
Ah, so it's more about our thinking process than about having it the right answer.
Exactly. They're looking for creativity, problem-solving skills, that ability to stay calm under pressure.
Okay, that makes sense. But I still feel a little nervous just thinking about those kinds of questions. Do you have any tips for how to answer them?
Of course. First of all, don't panic. Take a deep breath and give yourself a moment to think.
So it's okay to pause and say something like, "That's an interesting question. Let me think about that for a moment."
Absolutely. It's much better to pause and give a thoughtful answer than to rush into something that, doesn't make sense.
Okay, I'll remember that. Pause, breathe, think.
Yeah.
What other tips do you have?
Try to relate the question back to the job or the company.
Can you give me an example of how to do that?
Sure, let's say they ask you, if you were a superhero, what superpower would you have? You could say something like, I think I would want the power of communication. Being able to communicate effectively is essential in any role, especially in customer service.
Oh, I like that. It shows that you're, thinking about the job and how your skills would be valuable to the company.
Exactly. And another tip is to be honest and authentic.
So don't try to come up with some super clever or impressive answer that I think the interviewer wants to hear.
Right. Just be yourself. Let your personality shine through.
Okay. So be honest, be authentic, and try to relate the question back to the job. I'm starting to feel a little more confident about those unexpected questions.
Great. And remember, even though those questions can be challenging, the interviewer is still looking for the same things. that they're looking for in your answers to the, more traditional
We're
questions?
looking for our skills, our experience, our personality, and our potential to be, a great fit for their company.
Exactly. So don't let those unexpected questions throw you off your game.
I won't. I'm going to embrace the challenge and show them what I can do.
Now, before we wrap up our episode, I want to remind everyone that the most important thing in a job interview is to be yourself. Let your personality shine through and believe in your abilities.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And remember, even if your English isn't perfect, the interviewer is looking for someone who is skilled, motivated, and eager to learn. So don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah, you got this. We believe in you.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We've covered so much about getting ready for job interviews in English.
We hope you found it helpful.
Now, before we say goodbye, we have a question for you.
What's the strangest or most unexpected question you've ever been asked in a job interview?
Share your stories in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more English learning tips and tricks.
Until next time, happy learning.